A divine orb? What? I do not say this lightly, but Ethereal Knives is back and better than ever. Welcome back to the channel, it's Arrow, and today I want to talk to you about some tech that is in my third build of the league, Ethereal Knives Inquisitor. I have reinvigorated the EK Abyss stacker that I made many leagues ago when I first became a content creator, as that was one of my favorite builds that I had ever played in my tens of thousands of hours of PoE. Well, this league we got some new tech, and we're going to get into that tech today. This is not a full build guide, this is more of a quick showcase, and I want to show you the tech that you can maybe incorporate into your own build. So, what are we working with here? There are three core parts to this interaction, and we'll start with number one, which is the Winds of Fate staff. The Winds of Fate has an absolute boatload of physical damage on it, and it also has a ton of multi. And now this league, you can actually get those numbers even higher with the new Volatile Vol Orb. This staff does a few things really well. One, it has incredibly high fizz and multi. Two, it converts all of your damage to a random element, guaranteeing Trinity uptime, converts some of your damage to chaos, and then maximizes your crit at 50%. It also says that non-critical strikes deal 0 damage. These are two very heavy downsides at the end that are entirely solved by the new belt, which is thing number 2 on our list, the Screams of the Dessicated. I know you've seen this belt a lot lately, but this one is one of the cheap ones. Diamond. Last I checked, the Diamond belt starts at around 20 divines because there's just simply so many belts on the market now. Screams of the Desiccated guarantees crit when you have the Diamond Shrine effect, and it basically turns Winds of Fate into a perfect staff. We use Battle Mage from the Inquisitor, which allows you to get a huge amount of physical damage that is guaranteed to be converted for you. That basically applies to any spell you want. I've run the numbers on a bunch of different spells, and this setup is going to work fantastically in a lot of different ways. I'll get into the reasons that I chose Ethereal Knives, but for now, let's talk about the rest of the interaction. The third thing we're doing here is Abyss stacking. We're using the Lightpoacher helmet to get Fizz as extra. Again, Volatile Vols can increase the 5 to 6%. That is per element. So that's 18% fizz as extra per jewel that you have in the build. And I have somewhere between 10 and 13 jewels, depending on my current setup. So up as much as 200 fizz as extra from Abyss stacking is a ton. You also get the chest, the Shroud of the Lightless, which gives you life, mana, and pen per jewel that you have. So our flat damage is huge. Our crit chance is guaranteed. Our multi is already incredible. We are using the Marlene's Fallacy, because we can never miss our crits, which means we have almost 500 crit multi from our weapon and our amulet. That basically means that on the rest of your gear, you just have to solve percent damage, cast speed, which you can do on jewels, and then defense. I have gone very light into the defense on this build thus far, but the reality is I'm doing some of the hardest content in the game and I'm not dying because I just never get hit. So we're going to jump in game and quickly talk about some of the details of why I chose Ethereal Knives, but this is not a full build guide. I'm not going to go through everything, but the full build guide will come when the build is complete in probably a couple of days. Also keep in mind that I am doing a subathon still. It is day 19 today. Appreciate everybody's support. If you have not stopped by, drop that Twitch Prime. Please do. Come say hello. We're having an absolute blast over on stream. Twitch.tv/AER0___. I will see you over there. But for now, let's jump in so I can get back to stream. All right, so we are already level 98. We were doing some Abyss and Beyond that our friend Anime Princess had put out a video on. Really, really effective. It can be rippy because Beyond monsters spawn all around you. So if you're not really paying a lot of attention, which I tend to do while I'm streaming, it can get you. But it's incredible XP and actually quite good loot. Okay, so let's talk about why I chose Ethereal Knives. EK is a spell that I have always loved because when fired in a circle, it just feels really good if you have high prod speed to cover the screen in projectiles. With the addition of the Nimbus Ring, you can basically double your damage by getting high prod speed and having those projectiles return. The problem with Ethereal Knives is that it's difficult to get enough projectile speed to get it to return. After some extensive testing, it looks like with around 140 to 150 projectile speed, as well as an anoint known as Vengeant Cascade, you can get the projectiles to return at a 100% rate. I currently have 186 prod speed, which is a little bit more than you need, but prod speed doesn't necessarily hurt. So yes, Vengeant Cascade is back in this particular build, and the reason that using things like Vengeant Cascade as your anoint and getting prod speed on the tree is that the Nimbus is so strong in that not only does it give you full coverage around you, but it gives you returning projectiles for double damage that it makes it worth the investment. Also, Ethereal Knives without projectile speed doesn't go very far, but these projectiles are killing 2 screens away between their their proj distance, and then Herald Device chains. Our Herald Device is always chaining because it always crits. Even though we don't really scale any AoE or any damage particular for our Heralds, that Herald Device does a lot of work. I want to take a quick second to thank a couple of my viewers, The Anxious Angel and Kickbrass, who did a ton of work to help me on this build. Kick did some testing. He is playing the build alongside of me, and Angel brought this Winds of Fate idea to me when I was in a bit of a POB lull. So shout out to both of them. Thank you for the help. So we found that breakpoint 140 to 150-ish alongside of Vengeance Cascade. What Vengeance Cascade basically does is increases that return speed because you do need a certain threshold of speed to get the projectile to return. Vengeance Cascade lowers that limit pretty significantly by getting the return speed really, really high. I don't know exactly how these projectiles work. I know that they do have a duration, meaning that not all of them end at the exact same point, and that without Vengeance Cascade, you need somewhere in the realm of 250% projectile speed. So we get 100% less than that by using Vengeance Cascade. You do the math, but we do know that it works. So the Screams of the Dessicated, the Winds of Fate, that's the core that you need. But I would say if you're going to play this, I probably wouldn't start with less than 150 or 200 divines because things get expensive. At this point in the league, the rarer items are starting to get consumed to be corrupted with a new volatile vol, and that has a 50% chance to delete the item, which means a lot of really high value items are just getting removed from the economy. So that doesn't tend to make costs rise, and once this video comes out, it'll probably rise even more. So keep an eye on the core pieces. If you are interested in playing this, I don't want to bait anyone into an expensive build, but I am going to be spending a ton on this. I'm probably around 400 to 500 divines right now, including a lot of self-crafting with the jewels, and that price is going to go up after this video comes out, but it's also going to continue to rise because I'm going to invest even more into the build. The ceiling of this is insanely high. You can easily put 10 mirrors into this build and continue to make it meaningfully better. So my plan is to spend a lot of currency. This will probably be my last high budget build for the league. I think I may switch to SSF or doing 10 div challenges after this, and then we have the gauntlet. But my plan is to blast this build to the moon because it is so much fun. Now, it is also very, very squishy. If you stand still and take hits, you will die. We have block, we have spell block, we have double recovery of life NES, and we split the damage that we take. Build has good defenses for what it is trying to do, which is not get hit very often. And when you do get hit, you'll be able to recover through it. But if you are taking a ton of sustained damage, you're going to die. So just don't do that. The truth is you can off-screen most things. Bosses take an instant. I killed an Uber on this at like level 84 with a third of the investment that my build has now. I don't have any new Uber showcases to do for you because I've just been leveling and blasting and trying to make more money. That will all come with the final build guide. Another piece of cool tech with the helmet, because where you're using the Screams of the Dessicated belt, your Spirit Burst is going to trigger and consume your Spirit Charges. Well, you can get those back using the Writhing Jar Flask. Because we don't have any utility flask, we can just run 4 of these if we want to. To be honest, I don't think I've ever successfully used this flask outside of the bleed immunity on it because my recovery is so fast, but I do keep it around for the bleed. If you want, I'm not currently doing this because I simply don't need it. If you want, you can use a Frost Mage in the helmet and then balance your mana around that Frost Mage. It gives it a cost of like 100 or something. So you get your available mana low enough that you can't cast it many times and it'll only go off every once in a while, or you get your mana low enough that it can't go off at all. It's just a little bit more work to do it. And to be honest, I don't need it. I like the Spirit Projectiles for clear. They add single target damage. Believe it or not, all of this cool tech that we're getting from the Winds of Fate and the Fizzes Extra and the pen, all of that applies to your Spirit Projectiles, and mine are currently doing millions of DPS. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to go edit this video and go get ready for the stream. If you have any questions, stop by my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0___. I'm live every single day, and I'll be live right after this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care.